Hello, welcome to Divinely Different Tarot. I'm Ashley Dawn, and so I'm not doing a pick a card today. I am doing the say hi to Fred. I'm doing the promised video I had said I would do like a few months ago. Okay, and I have tried doing this video a few times since then, which is this is the gift talk, my gifts and explaining them because couldn't find anything when I was looking for things, so I wanted to always do one. I tried doing this video about 4 freaking times. I do have one that's technically on my YouTube, but it's 2 hours long and it has like a couple people's names in it that I didn't really want to put on YouTube because I have a feeling a couple of them watch it and I didn't want them to be like, oh. So either way, I didn't want to put that one out. And then I did another one that was more recent, actually, and it was about an hour and a half long, but I didn't want it to be that long. And again, I said people's names in it. So this time, hopefully, I will do well. I think it is the one. It feels like today's the day. So all I'm pretty much going to go over is the dreams that I have, which are a bit prophetic. They tend to happen. And then the things that I hear, which is, I call them my ghosts, but most people would consider them their guides, like ancestors, ones that have passed on, or soulmates, like friends that had passed on that have kind of like, stuck around to give you a little information, but not really stuck around. They just stuck around you to give you information like that. And then my intuition, which is pretty spot on usually, animals and like such, my gift with animals, and then accidentally hearing people's thoughts and my empath. These are the only things I'm going to talk about. There are other gifts that I have too, but I haven't really figured out how to explain them in like words. Like I can perfectly explain them in my head, but when it comes from putting it from my head to like my mouth for words, it don't work. So I'm trying to figure that out. Until then, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm very nervous, okay, because I don't like talking about my gifts. I don't want anybody to mess with my gifts. They've already been messed with quite a bit. When it comes to your gifts, do not block it down. Do not shove it down. Don't be like, I'm crazy, I'm seeing things, I'm hearing things. Because that's what I did when I was younger. When I was younger, I was like 15 and I was going through for the first time, not first time. It was like the first time I started hearing things and I thought I was going crazy. I sincerely thought I was going crazy. And I wished at that point I had heard more about like psychics and their gifts and how their gifts are, how they use them and how they like work, because like I said, I did all kinds of research when I hit my 20s on it and I couldn't find really anything about it, and it's not like people talk about it. I don't know why, but people don't ever talk about their like gifts or anything. Like my dad used to when I was younger, but my dad passed a couple years ago, so I always thought he was crazy, and then after he passed, more things started happening and I'm like, oh my god, my dad was so fucking right and I'm an idiot for not listening to him. But it's a live and learn process. That's what living life is about. So dreams. I'm going to start off with dreams. So I have a different kind of outlook on when it comes to my dreams, okay? Because I used to believe that the deja vus that you would have, like I believed what everybody else believed, that they were like something you had lived through in another life, that you're exactly doing that was from another life. And maybe that does have some truth to it. I do feel like some of it does. Like when you meet a person, you're like, I know this person. Like I feel like that is like a deja vu from another life because you've known them from another life. You just haven't met them in this one. And I've had it happen only a few times in my life. So, but I have also met people that have not had that happen in their life. Like not the way that they think. Like they always think it's not that. They're like, oh, I met this person, in exactly the right time because it's a soulmate and you were supposed to. And then they're like, oh, no, it's not like that. It's not that kind of a connection. It is, but I understand why you don't want to acknowledge it. Not everybody can at the same, not everybody can. But when it comes to dreams, when I was younger, I used to have a lot of nightmares. I would consider them nightmares because I didn't understand what they were at the time. I had no fucking idea what they were. But when I was younger, like very young, I was like 5, maybe between 5 and 8, I would say. Whereas where I had a lot of nightmares, like a lot of nightmares. I remember panicking a lot too. That's when I got my first panic attack, was when I was like 8. And it was it was weird to me because I didn't know the area for which I was having the dreams were taking place. Where I was living at was a tiny little trailer park at that time, and then I never thought, even growing up, that I would actually get out of that trailer park. That I would, you know, I could do something with my life. I thought I was pretty much down the same path as everybody else in that trailer park. It made you feel like that. They made you feel like that. I don't think it was intentional. It was just because everybody was so bitter that there was just so much bitterness. But either way, we did get out of there. I did get out. And a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I was walking down the street. It was like, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night. And I was going to the store to go get a Monster. And I just like looked around me, which I do now more than I ever have, because when I was younger I didn't do it as much because I always was in this, like, I called it like my zombie mode, because like I was never really there. Like my body was there, but my mind was never really there. I was always somewhere else. Now I know it was like in my future, like the idea of my future and what was going on, and like things that I would see or notice in that future, but like not then, you know? And like it's just so crazy because like, and I have had years of these, like I can remember like chunks of years where I was like this, where I was in a zombie mode, where I wasn't, where I was here in presence, where my body was here, but my mind's never really there. Like it was just autopilot. I'd automatically like answer questions or do things when asked, or like those kinds of things, but I wasn't, fully here. I was always a partially somewhere else. And I realized it's because in a way it was like I was somewhere else, but not technically. So the dream that I had had like a while back was like I was looking around and I noticed that one of the dreams that I had had when I was younger, because like it was an epiphany, it was that exact same spot. It was that area that I was walking. Then I was like looking around. I stopped and I took a look, and I'm like, oh my god, this is that dream that I had like repeatedly that I kept having nightmares of. And I'm like, well, why did I keep having that dream? Because normally I would be like, all right, well, if I've had that dream before, it's because something's about to happen and I need to pay attention just in case something happens. Nothing happens, like, so I'm like, okay, so why was it so scary for me at such a young age? And I realized I was so young, I didn't know the area that I was dreaming about, that would be my home. So it was scary to me because I didn't know it. I had no idea where I was. I didn't know, and when I was younger, I didn't know that it would be, that some of the feelings that I have now, like I had them when I was younger, but I didn't realize that's what those were. It didn't feel right to me, and it was so scary to me when I was younger because I wasn't at that point in my life. I was still a little girl. I was still so tiny, and then like in my dream, I was this 32-year-old walking down the street in the middle of the night in a ghetto towards a store that has a bunch of people there partying, and I'm just like, maybe that's why I was so scared, is because when I was younger, seeing that kind of stuff that I had seen, it kind of scared the shit out of me because something would always happen. But living in this area, nothing really happens. People just talk shit. Like, I mean, there are things that happen, but I mean, like, it wasn't like it was back when I was younger. So I think that's why it scared the crap out of me. I've also had a lot of other dreams too. I've come across a few other dreams where that same thing has happened, where I've realized that it was dreams that I've had from when I was really young, and it's happening now in my life, at like my age now. And I have had that happen again from things in my past, but I never made those connections until now. There's also, when it comes to my dreams, I dream about people I have lost, of my ghosts, which actually goes into hearing things. That's my like next part. That's my next bullet, is hearing things. Sometimes like, uh, I've heard it explained as just knowing things, and like that's how I used to see it, was like just knowing things, like hearing a little few things, like for me it started off as like a muffled noise. Like I felt like something was trying to communicate with me, but I didn't know what it was. And it wasn't out loud, it was in my head, which was what made me think when I was younger that I was going crazy, is because it was in my head. And people used to say if you hear voices in your head, you're crazy. That's not technically true. Okay, in some ways it is. If you're hearing a voice that's telling you to kill people, obviously maybe you should get some help, because you shouldn't want to do that. But it's like, it's so weird. He walks past my house like every day, and like I know he's a neighbor, but like he looks in my house when I'm doing these, and it makes me like self conscious a little bit, because like I don't know. I don't like people looking at me. I don't like being the center of attention, which is crazy to me because I took a YouTube channel, but I know I have messages I have to share. Like for real, like if I would have had somebody to explain to me, hey, this is like this is a gift. It's not, you're not going crazy. Like you're not, like things aren't as they always seem. Just because you can't see something doesn't mean it's not there. I mean, the air you breathe you can't see, but it's obviously there because you're breathing, and you have to breathe in order to exist. So it's just like I was always so scientific proven, like I had to see it to believe it. And then as I got older and things became a lot clearer, not so murkier, I started to understand. Like the things that I would hear, it was muffled. But it's like I kind of knew that somebody was trying to communicate with me, and I feel like I knew deep down that it was somebody that had passed on, that they were trying to communicate with me, and it was muffled because I didn't want to hear them. I was so scared to hear them. I didn't want to know what their messages were. Like I was so afraid that maybe I had done something wrong, or like that's mainly what I thought, was I had done something wrong and they were just trying to get back at me. But that's not what it is at all. And it's not. Don't try to push away what you're hearing. Listen to it. I mean, well, hear it. Hear it. You decide if you want to listen to it or not, because it's really up to you. It's your gift. Absolutely your gift. You decide what you want. I soon realized that I was hearing. Okay, well, it started off as hearing angels and getting messages in my dreams. And then, like, I don't always remember everything when I wake up. I do remember a decent amount, which I check because I have a dream journal, and I don't have to keep it anymore, but I did write it in, like, all the fucking time. And I would try to keep track because I wanted to know what I was dreaming about, and I would dream consistently of my grandmother, who died when I was very, very young. But there was always somebody with her. But I could never really make out what they looked like, and their voice was like muffled, but it was there. Like you could, like I could hear them saying, this person was saying something to me, but I didn't know what they were saying because it was coming muffled. It's like you seeing somebody's voice. You see somebody talking, so you can see their lips moving. You can even hear the noise coming out, but you can't quite interpret what they're saying. That's exactly what it was for not a very long time, but for a while it was like that. And then when I started to accept that, okay, maybe I am different than a lot of other people, maybe I can hear these people, there is a reason why I knew certain things that I shouldn't have known. Like when I'm trying to think of a good example that won't be too confusing. When my friend Brian died, we dated on and off when I was younger. He was actually, technically, he was my first love, but it was more of a friendship, I think, than anything. Like, we were soulmates. We were definitely soulmates, but I don't know. And I always felt like when it came to him and it came to his brother, who I was also really good friends with, and he passed away too a year before Brian had. But when it had happened, when Brian had passed, that was around the time that I was starting to hear things. But I was dating somebody at the time that had a way of getting into my head and making me believe things about myself that weren't true. He kind of made me feel crazy. He's like, everything's inside your head and shit, but like, it wasn't. But when Brian had passed and I was like told this, I knew instantly that he didn't do it. And everybody else was saying that he did it, that he was the one that, had done it. And then I'm like, no, that's not possible. Not after Evan. There's just no fucking way he would do that. There's just no fucking way. Like, I know Brian, like, of course we're suicidal fucking freaks, that's what depression does. It makes you that way. And we were like that for a very long time, but we always fucking knew that we wouldn't be able to do it because we had too much holding us in this world to take us, we didn't want to be taken away from this world. So when they were telling me, so people kept telling me that he killed himself. I didn't believe them. So I did more research and I asked his girlfriend that he was dating at the time, whom I didn't get along with, but it was mainly just because, like, Brian did not have the greatest taste in women. Like, he always picked women that were crazy, and like, of course, like, I'm crazy, of course, in some degree. I can be a bit dramatic, including when I was younger. I was such a fucking asshole, dude. It was so fucked up. But at the same time, there was always something about her. And she told me the story of that day that it had happened. Like, she told me about what had happened, and there were iffy moments, in my fucking opinion. There was somebody else that was out there on the left, like, out there with him when he had supposedly jumped. I don't think he jumped. I think he was pushed. I think that there was something else happening there, and I knew it as soon as somebody had told me, and they're like, oh no, he killed himself. I'm like, no, he fucking didn't. Brian did not kill himself. Like, there ain't no fucking way that boy would do something like that. Maybe before Evan had passed, he would have tried to do it, but after Evan had killed himself, he would never do it. No way. No. Like, I remember I was there with Brian on that day, and there was just... So, Brian became one of my ghosts. I hear him sometimes, not as much as I used to. It's been a little bit. It's been a little while, but sometimes he'll give me, like, he'll insert these little things inside of my head. And psychologically, they will tell you that it's because you know this person so well that you will automatically come up with the response that they would have, and you would usually use their voice. But I don't quite think that's necessarily true. Like, yes, our brains are fucking amazing, but our brains are so amazing, we don't know how 100% of it works, So I do think that when there is a soul that is not in our, like, dimension, our reality, then you still have a way of connecting with that person, because when you first met that person, there's that click, that connection, there's that contract. Okay, that soul contract. And then it's not like that just goes away, including when somebody has an untimely death. Like, I feel like that had a lot to do with it, but I don't necessarily think so. I think that connection that we had because when we were alive and you spent time, when they were alive and you spent time with each other, you had that connection, you had that, you know that. It doesn't just go away, it doesn't just dissolve, it doesn't go poof, it's gone, it's still there even through death, and I think that because I've grown up so feeling like so alone a lot of the time, even though I'm not, I don't know why I always felt like that. I think it's because I feel so different than everybody else, which is also another pointer to be like, hey, maybe you're more gifted than you realize. Maybe the reason why you feel so different than everybody around you, even your family members, the people that you even make friends with, and you feel like you have a real connection with them, and then you start to realize that you're a lot different than they are. You think differently. You are differently than they are, It's like you start to realize that those little differences, you can't really find anybody that you can connect with too much on it, but it's like, because you're only seeing this side, you're not seeing the other side. You're not seeing the other side where you had already made these connections, but those people had passed on. So it's like I took, instead of going from this side where all of the live connections are, I I'd pull from the connections that are no longer here. And I started hearing things and being guided to do things that I hadn't really been guided to do before. And I feel like it's because it was them guiding me or telling me. And as like when I accepted my gift, as soon as I accepted it and I started actually going for it and trying to do something with it, that's when I started hearing things like nothing was muffled anymore. And like even in my dreams they're not muffled anymore. Like I can hear them, I can dream. I dream about my dad quite often, to be honest with you. Like we're always hanging out and just talking about shit. And I know it's because I am going through a pivotal point in my life, but I also, it's still nice to know that there are those conversations. Granted, I don't remember all of the conversations, but I know he was there. Excuse me. I remember him before his death because he was not the same when he had passed. He did not look the same at all. But like when he was like, I don't know, he keeps saying his prime. Like when he felt he was at his prime in his life, that's what I see in my mind. And my dad was so tall. He had his legs chopped off when he died. So it was just it was like the first time I'd ever seen my dad laying down, like not like passed out drunk or something, but like it was the first time I saw him not being able to get the stand tall. Like it was, I don't know why, but that had messed with me for such a long time. And there were other things that had messed with me too, but I'm not going to get into that because that's on manifestation, and that's a whole another video. Manifestation's a different kind of video, but be careful what you manifest. Be careful what you think because that has such an effect on it. Okay, and then the other thing for hearing things is okay, so how do I explain this? Sometimes your higher self will give you like signs or hints, like, hey, maybe you should take this path instead of that path. Hey, maybe you need to do this instead of that. I get a lot of songs, and music is a huge one for me. I get a lot of messages in music. It could just be a lyric, or it could just be like, like a stanza, but like either way, it's just like sometimes those, you get messages in the craziest things. You could get messages through advertisements, like literally advertisements on the billboards or on TV, the advertisements, like commercials and such. Sometimes I'll get it through just like walking down the street and you just see how animals react with each other and how they are with like other people. And the animals you see around you in general too also have like some significance. Like okay, birds for me are from like, they're always, to me it's always been like sent from above because they're free. They're like, they have that higher connection, and I feel like, and they can fly as high as they want, so like to me it's always been, you're being watched over, you're being protected, your ancestors are watching over you, God is watching over you, whoever you believe, okay, is watching over you. You are being protected at this moment. That is how I've always seen birds. Now there are different kinds of signs of birds, like I have a falcon that hangs out over here every now and then. And to me, falcons are... There's actually a couple messages with a falcon. Right now, I'm getting that somebody has a message for me that they haven't delivered yet. And they're trying to deliver it to me. I don't think I got the first message. And I think that's why the falcon keeps coming around, because I didn't get it. There's another one. I was once told that falcons are a bit predatory. And it's like somebody is preying on you. And then I've also, there's a few other things, but it's how you interpret it. When you think of a falcon, what do you think? What comes to mind? Same thing with hawks and so forth, and such. And then crows. Like crows was another one. Crows always hang around me. I love fucking crows. Like they're one of my favorite freaking animals. Like they're so beautiful, so majestic, and they're like me. They've always got this horrible reputation, and like they're not anything like their reputation. They're just misunderstood. All right, and I feel like that's exactly what's going on with Ooh, I just got an awesome Halloween costume idea. And that's like the same thing with crows. Crows also have a way of warning you too, like, hey, Somebody's trying to put black magic on you. And the count crows, the crows of counting. Dude, that shit totally fucking works. Like, I'm not even kidding you. If you see one crow, be vigilant. Vigilant means be careful. Two, if you see two crows, that means good luck. Usually something lucky will happen or a gift will be given to you. Three crows is, fuck. I think it's bad health. And two crows, you will hear of good news. Two crows, you will hear of good news. You will have good luck. Three crows is bad health. Somebody may be sick to you. And then I don't remember the rest after that for some reason. All right, so so intuitive readings. I'm a very intuitive person. I've always been intuitive. So did you know that the amethyst crystal, so amethyst is for protection. It was also at one point the most sought after, even before diamond. It was more expensive than a diamond at one point in our history, in American history anyway. And I think it was actually around the world that it was like that. But either way, it's because it's protection and it helps intuitively. It helps like open up your mind a bit, you know? Anyways, what I was going to say about purple is purple, it's purple, okay? Most amethysts are purple anyway. So, and purple is my favorite color. It's always been my favorite color for as long as I could fucking remember. Amethyst is Aquarius's gemstone. No, it's February. February's birthstone color. And I didn't know any of that when I was younger. I just always knew I really liked amethyst, that it was purple. It's my favorite color, and I loved purple. It's like my favorite. And then as I got older and I started realizing these things, I'm like, oh my god, that is so crazy when you think about it. Like, I was wondering if that's the same for anybody else, too. Like, was your favorite color, without you realizing it, like your birthstone or like a gemstone that you end up later on, or a crystal that you're later on really attracted to, that you wear now? Is that something that, like, a color that you were into when you were younger? Because, like, I feel like it's our younger selves kind of telling us, hey, this is what you need. Hey, this is going to be useful to you in the future. And then, what's the other thing? Okay, so my intuition, like, I look at a lot of signs around me. At first, you might feel like you're going a little bit crazy. Like, I've said that a few times. It's because it's like things come at you and you don't realize why things seem to be coming at you. But they're not coming at you. They're like around you, and it's like there's something that needs to be said. There's something that needs to be noticed. Something you need to acknowledge. So intuitively, for example, when I look at charms, for example, it's like right here. I'm gonna grab some. Remember how I said all animals have when you first look at it, what is the first thought that comes to your mind? Now, everybody has intuition. I hate when people say they don't have intuition. You know that gut feeling you get before you go out? You get really nervous or something's about to change. It's usually because you're about to meet somebody, or it's something very scary for you to do, something for you to open yourself out, like, I don't know, there's just something in it. Everybody has intuition, and everybody either uses it or ignores it. I ask people to listen to it because it will change your freaking life, okay? Now, for example, even if you have kids, you could do this with, like, a kid's toy or something. Like, now, I would suggest grabbing, like, some kind of a charm, something you feel drawn to. When you pick it up, look at it. What do you feel when you look at it? This is an army guy. A soldier guy. I used to play with these soldier guys with my nephew, who I raised for a few years, and he loved the little voices that I used to do for the little soldier guys. And then my dad, he used to play with rubber bands and these army dudes, but they didn't look like this. They looked more like warriors. And these are just like soldier guys. But there's that. Now, you can take what you know from your memory and look at it from that. There could be something in that you're supposed to see. That's why those memories are being brought up to you. It could also be by just looking at it. When you look at this guy right here, it looks like he's about to throw a bomb at something, or he's about to throw a grenade. Like maybe he's about to say something. Something's going to happen. He's going to drop some kind of epiphany. He's going to tell somebody something. Like that. You can look at it like in that form. You could also kind of look at it as he's about to like run away from something, or he's trying to protect something in general. He's trying to protect. Like you can look at it in all those kinds of ways. Whatever comes to mind is usually what is for you to know. So when you're looking at your charm, what do you like think of? Like, is it a memory that comes into play? If it's a memory, okay, look at the memory, see what it is about the memory. Is it a person in the memory you're supposed to be thinking about? Or is it the actions that you're taking in this memory? Or again, it could be when you first pick it up, and when you're just like looking at it and studying it, what are the first things that you notice about it? Like when it comes to cards, I do the same thing. When I first started learning how to read tarot, I was like trying to learn how to, I don't want to do these ones. I was trying to learn how to do like read it by the way that the tarot is, by like the star means healing and so forth and such. But like that wasn't working for me. Like I don't do well when it comes to that. So now what I do is I read it intuitively. I look at what the card has, what is on the card, and depending on the energy, which is what most people do these days, and should do, is they like look at it intuitively. What is it that they are drawn to? What is it that they notice about this card? Okay. So for example, when it comes to this card, now this is the, I think, Seven of Cups. Yeah, Seven of Cups, which usually means like wishes and such, but by looking at it, you can also see that. You can see a woman looking at a bunch of choices that are before her, and she's trying to make a decision of what she wants, okay? Now, she's touching the heart because that's what she wants. Now, the thing is about this card, and this is why I love this deck of cards. You see her face? To me, it looks like she's mischief. Like, she's like, hey, maybe that's not what you, or hey, go ahead and take that, but it's not what you think it is going to be. Like, that is something that I like about these things. Plus, you have all this research in the background, like all of the books in the background. Like, somebody is very studious. This is somebody that she's going to as a mentor, somebody she looks up to. So it could be a family member, it could be like a teacher, so forth, And then you have somebody that's waiting with them. So you have that sidekick, or familiar. You have somebody that's with you that is just waiting for you to make a decision. That's kind of just taking their time about it. But that's what you get when you look at it intuitively. If you were to look at it by what it means logically, all it is saying is that a wish is coming true. I don't technically get that from this card all the time. That's what I'm saying. Like, you gotta look at it like intuitively. And now that one took me a little time to get comfortable enough to look at reading tarot, because I was told from a young age, well, like, technically, because my dad was Roman Catholic and my mother was what is it called? Christian. She says she's Christian, but like, and she is to a degree. She does believe in God, and she does have beliefs to be better, or to be kind to people and such. But Roman Catholics are psychotic, in my opinion. No offense if anybody's a Roman Catholic, but growing up with one sucked. Thank goodness my dad wasn't as bad as his parents were for him. They weren't bad. It's just like they made him go to Catholic school. He went to an all-boys school for all of his life. And then, like, his dad was actually very strict. And a bunch of other crap. So he did have a different upbringing. Of course, your parents want to do better for you than what you had gone through when you were younger. So my dad did do as well, but we did have to go to church quite often, and I have never felt comfortable in my life being in a church, mainly because most of the churches that you go to, it's not about the church, it's about the people that are in the church that they want you to, like, I don't think something should be so a lot of the churches I went to, a lot of the pastors or a lot of the people that worked for the church there was something wrong with them. I mean wrong as in they had evil in them that they were more accustomed to than the good that they were saying that they were doing. That to me is too hypocritical. It's too wrong. That should never be, including when you're children. And even as a child, and you know that and you see that, and nobody else wants to believe you because you're a child. And most people believe that a child shouldn't be heard, which is just bullshit. So, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that at all. We're just going to go back to, okay, but that's not for everybody. That was just my experience. I didn't have the best experiences with it. Okay, so I'm gonna just move into animals because I was talking about animals a little bit ago. So animals have always been very attracted to me, even from like a really young age. Animals have been attracted to me. So the area I used to live in, like in Indiana, I haven't seen any coyotes actually since I've moved to Ohio. But when I lived in Indiana, there was a bunch of coyotes where I was living at. We lived like near train tracks, and like the trailer park that we had was kind of in the middle of like nowhere. It was like on a highway, but it was in like the middle of nowhere. And if you went down one way, you would go like if you went down the highway one way, you would go to you'd go to Gary. You'd be there within like 5 minutes, like Gary, Indiana. And if you went the other way, and if you went that way for like 10 minutes, you hit Portage. If you go a little bit further, 45 minutes to an hour, you would hit Chicago. So, like, I was close to things, but I wasn't there, you know? Anyway, so the area we lived in, you know, we had those woods, and there was a lot of coyotes that would hang out there, and everybody's, like, was always really crazy about the coyotes because coyotes did have a way of attacking animals, but they attack animals. They don't attack people unless they feel the need to or unless they're in a pack. But I never had that issue. I actually remember I had a pack of coyotes walk me home. Like, no, they were stalking you. No, they were walking me home, dude. They were so walking me home. There was one that was right behind me, and the rest were all in through the woods on the other side of the train tracks. There was only one with me on the other side of the train tracks. Now, how the fuck would you think if they were going to attack me, why wouldn't they be more up or, you know, more up towards? Why would there only be one? And it was like the same age as I was, to be honest with you, kind of coyote, you know? Like, it was just kind of crazy to me that people have automatically just believe the worst when it comes to animals, but it's like they're not like that, you know? Like, I felt like they just wanted to make sure I got home okay. I also do feel like there was something other than them that was watching me that day as well. I felt like they were protecting me from that thing. And they did wait until I got up to the house. That coyote waited until I got inside of the house before I left, and it went to the other side of the train tracks. And like, it was just one of the coolest moments. I came across a little baby coyote when I was, I don't know, it was like in my early 20s, and it was a baby coyote. Like, it was just little baby, and I got scared because his mama ran off without it. So like, I like pet the coyote, and I was like talking to it, and I was cooing at it. That's what I say. I coo at animals. And he was just like so cute, dude. I wanted to take him home so bad, but his mama was in the woods, and I could see him in the woods, and I kind of like ushered him towards his mama, and then like it's like he saw his mama, so he ran after her. And like, it was really cool though. Like, that was one of the coolest experiences. I've almost ran into a deer, like literally ran into a deer walking. Okay, because I wasn't paying attention to where I was going. See, like I told you, I don't always pay attention to what I'm doing or where I'm going. And I wasn't in that moment. And I almost ran into a deer. I just stopped. I don't even remember why. And I looked up, and there was a deer right there staring at me like, bitch, you better watch where you're going. And I remember like, no fucking way, dude. I remember saying it, and the deer didn't move or anything. It wasn't scared, you know? It was just, you know, like looking at me. And then I was walking with somebody, and he was further behind, and when he came up, that deer ran off. I don't blame him. I wish I would have known what that deer had known. Live and learn. And but it was just crazy. It was just so cool. I was that close to a deer. I could see everything in the deer's eyes, and like they're fucking brilliant. They're brilliant and they're beautiful and they have such a pure soul. Like, it's so crazy. And, like, I don't know, it's just so crazy. But either way, I've had a lot of those instances with those kinds of animals. A lot of wild animals, a lot of other animals too. Like, I don't know how, but I always come across animals like when I'm walking about, including if I'm alone at night. Um, they'll just come to me. They'll find me. Like, cats will follow me, or I'll come across dogs. I have noticed, actually, if I go to an aquarium. So I used to happen when I was at my work, but I think it's because like that I was training them and like they knew that I was about to feed them. But like when I go to other aquariums, I have noticed if I stand in one area and then like I move, all of the fish will follow. And I don't know if it's just because of me, but my sister was there too, and they didn't follow her; they just followed me. And like, I don't know. That one I'm still confused on, to be honest with you. But when it comes to animals, I kind of just know sometimes when they need something or when they want something. Um, I guess it could be kind of a bond, but it's also, I feel like, your intuition telling you what that animal needs. I'm going to jump into. There's only two more bullets left. There is accidental hearing thoughts, which is one of those ones that's really hard for me to explain. And, yeah, but I feel like it's important. So, sometimes when I'm with somebody or a group of people, a random thought will pop into my mind. Now, as a person, you know what kind of thoughts you normally would think of, or you know your thought process. You know what you would normally think, and if this random thought would pops into your mind, it's not something you would normally think, and you are around people. She better not be getting in my yard. I'll break that girl's back. I know that sounds so harsh, but this lady messes with my family. Like, so hard. She's called the cops on my mom a couple of times, and I'm like, dude, like, what is your issue? I don't understand her at all. I don't understand why she keeps coming around, why she's touching my stuff. Oh, there we go. She's leaving. Good. I didn't actually mean to break her back. I just mean to give her a freaking hard time. Like, what are you doing on my property? I just don't understand the state. I really don't. Like, everywhere you go, you always see the men in the passenger seat, and you see the woman driving everywhere. And like where I grew up, and even like my mom's boyfriend even does it. Like, and it's crazy. Like, I don't actually believe that. I do totally believe that. I don't think we're quite equal, to be honest. Like, I know it sounds terrible, but there are things women can do that men can't do, and there are things men can do that women can't do. That's just that, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, I don't understand why everybody gets their panties in a wad over it, but I just don't understand when I come to this state and I start seeing people, and it's like you always see the women driving and you always see the men in the passenger seat. And where I come from, it's supposed to be the other way around. It's supposed to be the man driving and the woman in the passenger seat. And like the reason why they do that is because, no offense to any women out there, I'm a fucking woman too. I am not against my own sex. I love being a woman. It is fucking fantastic, okay? But we ain't the best at driving. It's just what it is, There's not that many race car women drivers, are there? There's a few of them, and a few freaking phenomenal ones, and go for them. That is on that great job. I'm so proud of women when they can do shit like that. But just realistically, looking at facts, looking at experience, and looking at, I guess you could throw statistics in there. Usually statistics don't work on smokers, but we'll just go with it. Men are better drivers than women, which is fine and dandy. Like I said, you want to drive, okay, I'll sit in the back and look at the scenery. It's pretty anyway. But like, it's just weird. I come here and it's like the complete opposite. And it's like, there's a reason why behind it, right? There is a reason behind this, okay? It's a psychological thing, actually. Did you know that when it is like that, it's because if the man is in the passenger seat, it's because he's not doing anything with his life. He's the one that's sitting at home, not doing it. Okay, I don't mean it like that. I mean, he's not working. He's not doing a career. He's the one that sits at home. He is the one that is supposed to be taking care of the household, supposed to be taking care of the household. And then you have the other way around, and then you have the woman is the one that's working and doing all the work. You know, that it's, yeah. That's like how it is here. But like back home, it's like the men are working. So they're the ones that are driving. They're the ones that are in control. You know, like it's just, it's a psychological thing. And then it's like complete opposite when you come here. And I'm just like, what is wrong with this fucking state? But at the same time, I kind of like it. I found a lot of independence here, so that's really cool. But I wanted to say accidentally hearing thoughts. That's what I was originally talking about. So when you're in a group of people and you accidentally hear somebody's thought and you don't mean to, oh, you're so cute. And it's like you accidentally catch somebody's thought. Or sometimes it's like when you're close to somebody, like if you have a really great friend or you're really close to a sibling and you are like just hanging out with them and neither of you are saying anything, but you hear something and you say it out loud and you're like, oh my god, I was just thinking that. You literally just accidentally took their thought, you know? It's just, I don't know. I also do think some people think higher, like loudly compared to other people too. The first time that happened, I was like, no way, that's just a coincidence. And then like the second time it happened, I'm like, maybe it's not so much a coincidence because it's a little weird that it keeps happening. And yeah, I'm gonna take this ring off this finger. It's killing it. I don't know where to put it now. I'm gonna put it here. Maybe. There's no other way I can really think of to describe that. That's just pretty much how it goes. It's not, it's not an accident. It's usually because people could be thinking of really loudly. And it could also be just that you have a connection with this person on more levels than you really know how to explain, which is fine too. Okay. And the also not fun one. Okay. Empath. Okay, so yeah. I just watched this chick, okay? Her hold on. I don't remember her first name, but I know her last name is Swan. She's on YouTube, and she was talking about how empaths don't normally like to talk about this. They don't like to admit it because it's like so fucking true. But normally it's because you've grown up in a household where there is somebody that is has unsteady, is in a bit of an unsteady emotion. Sometimes they can go off, but you just pretty much have to like watch how they are, and you grow up with that, like having to pay attention to how that person feels. So you always tend to like zone in on people, and you like take in these little or you take in their it's unconscious, but empaths look at people's body language and they process it in a different way than most people do. You can tell by the way that they hold themselves, by the way that their face is, by just how they are. It's like you can't help but automatically notice that. Now, it's also not completely just that though too, because I can like walk into a room and any empath can walk into a room and you could close your eyes, but when your eyes were open when you walked into that room, you don't realize it, but your brain did. Your brain took in everything that you just saw when you walked into that room. Even if you're not quite comprehending it, your brain did see it all. And it is, it's compiling that information inside of your brain. So when it comes to when you looked inside of that room, you're automatically going to look for that one person that was like your past, because you knew that you had to watch what they were doing because you wanted to make sure you were on your like tasks. Like for example, if the person you grew up with was an alcoholic, okay, and they drink a lot, and if they would drink a certain amount, like if they drink a certain liquor, or they drink too much of a certain thing, and they would get really mean or abusive or like really like verbally verbally horrible. I'm not going to go into like physical or anything, but it could be, you know. But and then so you just kind of look for those things, you know, like it's just an automatic thing because you don't want to deal with that. You would try to find a situation, get out of that situation. So either way, when you first walk into a room, then you notice that person. Like instantly you notice the person that's kind of a bit unstable. Doesn't, you know, there's nothing wrong with being unstable. We all, in my opinion, go through it at some point in our lives, but like you just automatically tune in on that person, and that person that you tune in on that has those instabilities, you know, those are the ones that you kind of can't help to tune in on. And like even the happiest person, that is the one that you would want to be around because that's normally what you wanted to. It's like you can't go towards that person because you have to go towards the person that you're tuned into because you want to help them in some kind of way, because that's what empaths do. They want to help people out, they want to make them feel better, even if sometimes. But you have to realize like that person has to want to change, that person has to want to be happier in order for you to help them out, you know. If they don't want to do the work, it's not going to happen. You're just going to be working on that person for the rest of your life, and nothing will ever be as it should be because they don't want to change. But that is something that empaths don't really like to admit. That is, you know, we usually do have somebody that was in our life that, you know, there was some kind of, they could be triggered in some kind of way, and we'd have to watch how they would be, you know, because we didn't want to be in the crosshairs. I don't know why the accents are coming out today. I didn't, like, you don't want to be in the crosshairs of what is going to happen with that person. So you instinctively look for that when you go into anywhere. And that's where empath comes in, because you automatically want to look at people's emotions to make sure you're not going to come across that, you know? Also, I have noticed something about being an empath is that you tend to take on other people's emotions, okay? Now, it took me a really long time, okay, to figure out which crystals work for me, which crystals and which gemstones, what kind of protections work for me. I cannot tell you all the protections that I have because I know I got some peeps out there that would like to try to use it against me, but I can tell you that, like I said, it did take a while for me to figure it out, but just keep working with it until you find the right things that work for you. Like, I will tell you a few of them because, like, I feel I need to, because everybody needs to figure out a way to protect themselves, okay? But I have 7. I have 7 protections that I wear on me at all time. And 8 protections I have on me at all time. 2 of them will never come off of me, okay? Ever. All right, so, and then the other ones, it did, like I said, it took me a while to figure out which gemstones and which crystals work for me compared to other people. Now, one of the protections I'm saying that protects me, you know, is because of my belief in it, my intention, when I had done it. When I did this tattoo, I did it myself, and I did it for my intentions because it was important to me to have my protection. To make sure that if somebody were to put such negativity on me or try to push their view on me without my consent, it would return on them. So I know that I am protected. But one of those, you know, I have two of those ones, okay? And one of these, okay, that's one of mine. This one, when I did it, the intention behind it, and I know because I can feel the intention still to this day, and it's awesome. But, like, you can, you know, like, that's my protection. Like, it's an evil eye to, you know, protect against evil eye, you know? And then for gemstones, okay, like I said before, I've always felt this connection to amethyst. That's why I was, like, you know, asking those questions, because, like, amethyst is mine, all right? So amethyst is for protection, it's for healing, it's for intuition. I feel like I've always been healing. You can actually see the crystals changing color when you wear them for a long period of time, which I think is so cool. I used to wear this amethyst necklace that used to have these, like, the chip gemstones all around it. It used to be like these, you know? And one of the bracelets, it was all, by the time I was done wearing it, and I knew I was done wearing it, was because it was all white and all black. these negativities and like the it's so cool seeing how this stuff works out. Like I love it. It's beautiful. But I ended up obsidian is one of the ones that this is the one I'm wearing here, and then I also have a sunstone here. Now, find the ones like I said that work for you. Sunstone is to help make you positive, make you happy. Obsidian, of course, is to protect you. It is also to keep negativity away from you. So that's another reason why I use it. And then I have a couple more crystals that I wear as well, and then I have a bunch on my hands as well. On hands, though, it's a little bit different for me because I'm a gray witch, okay? So I believe things a little bit differently than most people. I believe everything that you wear, everything that you have on you is a... In some ways, it could be an opener. In other ways, it could be a gift, you know? So this is coming into me. This is the left side, so this is coming into me. So my intuition may be on point. And then this one is, oh my goodness, I can't even pronounce the word correctly, but it's, blue, and it's a gorgeous one. But either way, it's to help communicate psychically, in some ways, but it's also to, it helps me keep it balanced, I guess, would be the right way to say it, because sometimes when I communicate like psychically with somebody, it's like a wavy link, ugh, wavy, and this strains it so that my words can go across instead of funky. It's the only way I can describe it. I hope that was helpful. I mean, it may not have been, but like that's how I see things. That's how I explain things. I really love Moonstone. It's like one of my favorite ones. So I do have to do a warning. If you have a hard time telling people's feelings, like you're not very good at that, that's okay. You know, it's whatever. You know, not everybody can do that. I would recommend getting an opal. That could really help out with it. But if you are an empath, don't get a fucking opal, man. Do not do it. Like, you will know everything, everybody's feelings, you will never know what you are feeling because of the opal that you are wearing. I don't know, you can believe me or you cannot believe me, but with my personal experience of it, I cannot do opal. It is freaking beautiful. It's one of my favorite. I wish I could wear it, but it just magnetizes everybody else's feelings and emotions, and I would like to know my emotions. And like these, my protections are helping me find and to keep my emotions to myself, so now I know when I'm feeling somebody else's emotions because I can tell the difference between mine and somebody else's now. But before I couldn't. Before I found my protections, my crystals and stuff like that, I could not tell if it was my emotions or if it was somebody else's. So that is my recommendation for you. This is all I've got for you. I can't really talk about much more. I don't want it to be over an hour. It's already at 57 minutes. But if you have any questions about these gifts, like any of this stuff, like if you didn't understand what I meant, go ahead and comment me or like write me a message and I'll get back to you, you know, because like I said, I wish I would have had somebody explain to me what these gifts were and how they work and such, you know. And I do have other gifts. I just haven't figured out, like I said, the right way to explain it in words so that other people understand it. So yeah, let me know again if you have any questions or anything like that. Let me know in the comments below. I'm not gonna be able to do a pick a card reading today. This was my idea for my reading today, so I hope this works. This is a good video. I'm glad I didn't say anybody's names that aren't still alive, so I'm good with it. And plus, this was for my celebration of 500 subscribers anyways, which I'm so excited about. If anybody is still here with me, thank you again for subscribing. Thank you so much for being with me through my entire journey and through your journey, and I hope that I'm helpful in any way to you. I mean, that's what we're all supposed to be here for, is to help each other out and to show love and to show light and to keep inspiring others. But yeah, so that's all I've got for you. I'm going to go now, and I have to use the restroom. So hope you have a great day, and may we meet again. Bye!